Hey everyone, welcome to the night call of 2015 for Team Relentless. If you are a coach on Team Relentless, thank you for joining in. And if you're somebody who's outside of Team Relentless, I can't thank you enough for spending your evening with us. I'm really happy to have the guest speaker, Tommy Mygrant, on our call tonight. But before we get going, I just wanted to go over a few things with you. Congratulations to everyone who qualified for Tier 1, 2, or 3 of the Cup. Last month was epic month with everything going on with the launch of 21 Day Fix Extreme. I've seen a lot of movement within our team because a lot of you are participating in Diesel Nation's The Push, and I have been amazed at how many rank advancements we've had and seeing everybody work together as a team. That is what we're all about, and everybody knows my mission for Team Relentless is to really duplicate what I have benefited from by being part of Diesel Nation, and that's to have somewhere to belong and to really get engaged in the community and have a family instead of just team members or coworkers or business associates. So with that being said, this month is going to be another epic month. Really, I feel that February, March, April, May, and June are the biggest months within the Team Beachbody community. You can keep moving your business forward regardless of what month it is, but these seems to be like where we hit the epic highs, and there's a lot of you who are pushing for Premier and Elite, and I want you to remember that it all starts in the beginning of the year. Don't wait till the last minute and put a lot of stress on yourself. If you are part of the team and you haven't registered for my little monthly challenge, make sure that you have partnered up with somebody and update the document. It is the pinned post in Team Relentless because I do my own little prizes and recognition for teams of 2 that team up every month with a different person from within Team Relentless. And this has been really great. And also, I'm watching everybody on the team, regardless if you are my personally sponsored coach or somebody in my downline. Every month we have a Coach of the Month. And this last month for February was Tina Anderson. As many of you have seen her, go from finishing P90, losing 30 pounds, and I hope you saw and give her a shout out for being recognized by the Beachbody Success Stories department, and she may be featured in the P90 infomercial. This is a new program that came out in September. But throughout all of this, the transition of her ending P90 and starting 21 Day Fix, she lost a great man in her life, which was her father. And as many of you know, I've seen so many people in the organization, little things, big things, different things that happen in their life knock them off their feet and really are a huge distraction and a big deterrent to the fire that's lit within them for being a coach. But I have to say, she took it like a champ. She used this as even more of a drive for her to focus on her health and her business, and amazingly, she jumped right back in, and she used what she had and her emotions to really be the motivating factor to not give up. And so she's being honored as the February Coach of the Month. I'll be sending out her little present to just honor her. And so if you haven't reached out to her to give her a few words of encouragement, please do, because it's been a hard road for her, but she's still here. And I know it's been because of everything that goes on within Team Relentless. We always are quick to recognize each one of our success and to encourage each other when we're down. I've had a great success with having her in my challenge group and being very monumental to keeping the challenge groups really live. And with that being said, too, I want to make sure that you do save the date for next month. We're going to have Kim Lima, who is part of Fit and Funky Nation, as the guest speaker as she talks about how to motivate your coaches and also how to run challenge groups. So anyways, this month we have the Beachbody On Demand that has just rolled out. A lot of you who achieved Success Club last month were part of the beta group where you got to preview this. If you do not know what this is, make sure that you check into the Coach Online office under Breaking News and read up about it, because this month, if you order Shakeology on Home Direct as a customer, you get 3 months of the Beachbody On Demand. And we have a lot of the older programs, and anybody who has purchased a program has that within their reach through the Beachbody On Demand, and little previews of other programs. We have Turbo Fire and 3-Day Refresh, which is also on sale for $140, just like the Shakeology and the Beachbody On Demand, and T25, which is on sale for $180. So make sure you're marketing these things, and please, like I say all the time, take notice of what I talk about, social media training and how to market things. You're marketing yourself, you're marketing your results and your experience and your journey as a coach, not just posting graphics shared from the Team Beachbody 411 or somewhere in the Coach Online office, because people really see that as white noise. when they see graphics. So make sure you're doing something that if you have a picture of yourself with Sean T or your results from 3-Day Refresh or even somebody within the team, that you use those and put it in your own words instead of copying and pasting or sharing graphics that you see, just clogging up your newsfeed, because this is how people are going to be drawn to you. They want to hear about your personal experience, not just some canned verbiage off of a website, because they could do that on their own. If you have any questions on social media training or how to do this, definitely reach out to us in the Team Relentless group. We will be happy to help you, but just make sure you're putting it in your own words. So I'm going to turn it over to Tommy. I met Tommy at a Danny Johnson event. I already knew who he was. He is kind of like an epic rock star within Team Beachbody. He's been a coach for several years and been in the top 10. So he's got great content to share with you. He is, I would call him the king of inviting, and this is one thing that I've been teaching through the 3 Vital Behaviors workshops, which I'm actually going to be doing another one in Bryan College Station on the 28th of this month to get registered, because this really helps you understand what the first of the 3 Vital Behaviors is, which is invite, invite, invite. I hope that you guys all watch the videos that I posted in this event invite for this call, which does feature him when he's talking about it. But he's going to go into a little more elaborating. And remember, when Tommy came on, social media wasn't this big. There wasn't these YouTube, calls. So he basically did this on his own, and he really does well face-to-face. And so the thing is, I want you to understand that we have a huge capacity to reach a lot of people through Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, but that isn't where it ends. And you need to utilize as much as you can in person, because this is going to help you grow your business. And there's no wonder why he's still in this industry. And also, big plug-in is that he's big on social media. Personal development, which I attribute to my success. So hopefully he'll tie something in with that. So I'm going to turn it over to him. If you have any questions, be sure to ask it in the event invite so I can let him know. All right, there you go.
Hey,
you're on.
You've got your whole, team sign behind you. I'm like, man, she's so professional. I'm sitting here with my dog, and then my little girl Zebra. This is my little girl's stuffed animal. I got a 22-month-old little girl, and one of my biggest blessings is that I get to be home with her. I'm like a stay-at-home dad because I do Beachbody full time. So, man, I mean, I'm listening, to everything that you're saying. I'm like, man, this team is just, you guys are so on it. I mean, from Diesel Nation down to your team. And if you guys are a new coach within, Mindy's team here, I want you guys to just take the time to appreciate the fact that you've joined one of the best teams and the fastest growing teams in the entire network, right? These girls know what the hell they're doing. And a guy like me, even though I've had success, I'm constantly looking at people like them and saying, how can I improve? And I'm learning from them. And so hopefully I'll be able to share some things, with you guys tonight. I do want to, first of all, just say, listen, I know that many of you have busy lives, right? You're working full time. You've got spouses, husbands, wives, church, social life, all that stuff. And so I appreciate the fact that you're taking time tonight to invest into getting better as a Beachbody coach. And that's really why you're here. Is to, that's why you plug into this stuff, is to improve who you are. So my intention tonight is just to share with you, one, my story, and then two, just some of my ideas on how we can get better with people. And we'll go into that. So, because I don't want to assume that, you guys all know, I mean, you can hear Mindy talk about the fact that I've been in the top 10 and I've been around for a long time and we've had some success, but I mean, it wasn't always that way, right? I was a brand new person. In fact, I was, for 20 years, I was a morbidly obese guy. Picked up P90X back in 2007, lost 115 pounds with P90X, and ended up winning like $50,000 in the Beachbody Challenge. So I came from, from that side of things, and I came in as a weight loss story. And then, it took me a couple years, though, to really do something with coaching. For the first, I remember I didn't want to be a coach. I had a full-time job as an insurance agent. I was the vice president of an insurance agency. I had an active social life. I had, a fiance at the time. And so coaching wasn't something at first that I thought was going to be big for me, right? I just figured, I had already lost some weight with the products. I had buddies asking me about it. I was getting people started anyway and recommending the stuff anyway. And I figured if the company's going to pay me for that, if I could make a few $100 a month, that would be great. And over time, it grew into being something more for me. So the first thing that I want to do is this, encourage you guys that no matter where you're at today, that just stick with it, right? Stick around. You never know when those light bulb moments are going to go off. You never know when this will be your go-to thing. I've had many coaches that, their plan A, whatever they were making. They were very comfortable in their job, and they didn't want to leave their job, but then all of a sudden, 2 years into being a Beachbody coach, they lose their job. And luckily, they had been working part-time to build the Beachbody business, because then they had a fallback income to help support them, through that transition. And so I want to encourage you guys to stick with it, because for me, in my life and my family, it's been mind-blowing what it does. I mean, I'm a high school football coach. I grew up in a town of 9,000 people. I didn't live in a big city. I lived in a town of 9,000 people. I've often said that I'm a small town heart with a big city mind, right? Like, I could see the opportunity with Beachbody. But luckily for me, I was always really good at just connecting with people, because I come from a small town, and everybody in that small town. And so exactly what Mindy talked about, which was building a family, I believe in that as well, right? That this is a business about relationships, and it's more than just the 2 points when you sign somebody up, right? I think we can get caught up in ranks and points and all this stuff, and when we see people as points, then we can drop the ball when we're communicating with them. So, but you guys are part of Beachbody at really such an incredible time. I mean, with the 21-day fix, with Beachbody on demand. I mean, even if you're brand new right now, I would have to tell you that the people that have come in the last year or two have a greater chance for faster and bigger success than the people like me that started at the beginning, when we didn't have Shakeology, we didn't have challenge packs, we didn't have social media. I didn't have Facebook when I first started. I've had to learn. I wasn't a social media guy, but I've had to learn some things about social media. So tonight, I just want to share with you some of the things that I've learned along the way, some of the things that I've helped the network get to learn, and some of the things that I teach my own team. I'm not saying that I know everything, because I don't, right? I mean, you want to know Instagram, go with Shalene. She knows a hell of a lot more than I do, right? I've learned a lot through personal development, attending Danny Johnson events, all of those things. But the first 2 years that I was a coach, I was helping people, but I didn't quite know what to say. And one of the first questions that my coaches asked me was, what do I say when I'm out there inviting people? And so I wanted to talk to you guys tonight, just about that, about inviting people. The first thing we have to understand is this: it's a people business, right? And the better that we get with people, the more success that we're going to have. All right. So some of you, you have fears. You don't want to bring it up. You don't want judgment. You're afraid of the no's. Okay. And the one thing that I would tell you is this: typically when you're frozen in fear, it's because you're making it about yourself and not about the other person. One of the best things that I ever heard was actually from one of my coaches, who's about 3 or 4 levels deep for me. Her sponsor only enrolled 4 coaches ever. And this girl is a 3-star diamond. She's a premier coach. And she said to me one day, she said, "Thank God that Rob didn't leave my destiny locked in his mouth." And I want you guys to think about the fact that when we're talking to people, the more that we can just make it about them, then the more comfortable we get. When we learn to serve people from a place of selfless service, does that make sense, right? So a lot of times when I'm talking to somebody, and I'm going to get into some specific examples, there's 2 ways that you can look at this. Like, you can look at it like, oh, I need this person, I need this person, I need this person, I need this person, right? It's based on what you need. Or you can look at it like, I just want to do what's best for this person, right? If getting them started with just a program only is best for this person, then that's what I want to do. And I have faith that if I just selflessly serve enough people, that I'll have enough points at the end of the month, that the rank will happen, the money will happen. All of the things that you want to happen will happen if we come from a place of selfless service. Some of the times when we get iffy about talking to people, it's because we're making it about our own intentions and not about their needs. Okay, so I guess that would be the first thing I want to encourage you is this: you can never say the wrong thing to the right person. Write that down. You can never say the wrong thing to the right person. We're not looking to convince people. We're looking to help the people who truly want what we have to offer for their own need and their own reason, whether that's on the fitness or the business, okay? This business is really pretty simple. I mean, we make money 2 ways. 2 basic ways that we make money, right? And both of them require us to invite people to something, right? The first way is retailing, right? We're out there and we're building challenge groups, or we're helping people and inviting them to get into their products and their programs and their challenge packs. And the retail side. Now, the first year that you're in this business, the majority of your income is going to be on the retailing side, right? It's going to be you helping customers. Okay. The second thing that we invite people to is to be a coach. That's it, right? To build our coach team. So we get paid for two things, retailing and team building. That's it. And the easiest way that I can tell you to move people is this. All we do is move people from A to B to C. That's it. Okay? That the A person is the person on the outside of Beachbody. They're the person not doing a program. They're the person that's not yet a coach. They're the person that you meet on the street. They're the person that you follow on Instagram or on whatever. But they're outside of the circle. They're not drinking the Beachbody Kool-Aid yet. Does that make sense? Right? Okay? All we want to do is give them an opportunity to say yes to B. That's it. Okay? And we have to understand something. Not everybody is going to say yes. In fact, the majority of people will not. I once heard Carl Deichler. I was actually having breakfast with Carl Deichler. This was on a trip to France when I was in the top 10. And Carl looked at me and he said, I don't think people understand the fact that they're going to get beat up with no more than they get yes, right? He goes, here's a surprising statistic for you. Our infomercials are wildly successful, right? We're the #1 infomercial company in the world. Yet, every time we show that commercial, it takes 2,000 viewers to get one buyer, right? I mean, think about that. So he's getting 1,999 no's and one yes, and yet he's still paying for infomercials to be put out there. He's still promoting the product. He's still putting it out there day after day after day after day, right? He understands what most of the top successful coaches in this business do that maybe many of you don't, is this. The people who are seemingly having greater success are simply putting it out there more often to more people. They're putting it out there more often to more people. So they've got a bigger following. They've got more friends on their Facebook. And they're talking about it more often. So they've upped the intensity, right? So if you're sitting out there and you've got 200 friends, let's say, and you talk about it once a month, the likelihood of you finding somebody to say yes is very minimal. Okay? But if you had 2,000 people, let's say, on your Facebook, or 5,000 people on your Facebook, or 10,000 people on your Facebook, and you started talking about it a couple times a week, you understand that there's more opportunity. See, the average person won't say no more than 7 times, but a very small percentage say yes on the first time. That's the first thing that we all have to understand is this, that we're not there to convince people the first time that we talk to them. A lot of times when we're out there inviting or promoting or putting it out there, we're really just planting the seed in their mind and letting them know that we're open for business and that we're here to help people. That really is as simple as I can say it. So we make money 2 ways, retailing and team building. Okay, and I want you to understand something. So there's a lot of people that they're out there and we talk about the fitness a lot, right? Many of us are fanatics when it comes to insanity, when it comes to 21-day fix, when it comes to P90X. Like, we're fanatical about that stuff. And so we tend to talk about the fitness a lot, but we tend to not talk about as much is the coaching side. And really, the truth is this: coaching is our #1 product, and we need to put coaching in front of people just like we put Shakeology in front of people. Everybody understand that? So I just want you to understand that we really we're doing 2 things. We're finding customers and we're finding coaches. What I do is I follow that challenge group system. I build 1 challenge group a month. I have a start date for that group. There's a reason why I have a start date for that group. That way when I'm inviting and following up, there's a deadline. How many of you know, okay, this is like getting people to take action, okay? Part of the reason that maybe you get in conversations with people and they don't end up following through is because there's no deadline for them to say yes. There's no deadline for them to make a decision. That it's kind of open-ended. How many of you know that when you were in college and the professor gave you a 10-page paper that you would not have written that sucker if there wasn't a due date for it? Okay? So my belief is this: we can benefit greatly by first understanding the value of due dates and deadlines, right? So what I have a deadline for my challenge group that starts. I start it the first Monday of every month. I also start a Coach Basics group the first Monday of every month. So maybe your leader has a new Coach Basics, whatever you guys call it, group That's a deadline for you to get new coaches in the door so they can get in that mentorship program, okay? Now, to me, there's this, and I want to break this down for you guys. There's really what I call three simple methods for you to invite people or connect with people, and actually with the intention of getting them into Beachbody. Does that make sense? The first thing we have to understand is when we're first building relationships with people, I want you to write this down. Never sell on the first conversation. The only thing you're selling on the first conversation, so let's say that I friend request somebody on Facebook and I send them a message. I don't want that first message or that first conversation to be about my challenge group or to be about them buying something from me. The only thing that we're selling on the first conversation is a relationship and trust between them and us. That's it. Okay? So again, we want them to trust us. So that's when we use that skill set of form, right? We're just going to ask questions. We're going to get acquainted with them. We're going to build trust. We're going to build rapport with them. That's my suggestion to you, is never sell on the first conversation. It's the same way when I'm out there in public. I'm never selling on the first conversation. The only thing I'm selling if I meet somebody face to face is for them to stay connected to me on Facebook. That's it. My only goal coming out of that is to make sure that they add me on Facebook. That's where I add everybody, right? So, because then I know that the relationship is extended, and then I know that there's a chance for me to invite them later or for them to see me promoting something at a later time. So there really is three simple methods when I really think about how I find people or how coaches find people and how we invite people. And then I'm going to break down all three of these. Number one is this directly inviting, right? This is the first method, right? Direct inviting. Which is, it's no different than if you guys were going to have a birthday party for your kid, right? How many of you have ever thrown a birthday party or had a cookout, right? And so you were going to have an event, and the first thing you needed to do was figure out who might want to come to that event. And how many of you then started texting people or calling people or sending out an invite in the mail, right? We're going to have a birthday party for my little girl. So my wife is sitting here going, who should we invite? And she starts making her list of invitations. Right? And then what did she do? She went and put an invitation together that let them know when, where, how, what we were doing, okay? And asked them to reply, asked them to RSVP. So we do this all the time. I don't know why all of a sudden, because the company's going to pay us for doing it, that we hit the freeze button and we panic. It doesn't make any damn sense to me. I mean, you invite people all the time. If you're going to go out to dinner, you send an invite out to your girlfriends and say, hey, you want to have a girls' night? Right? Now, it's not that everybody you invite says yes. Does that make sense? Right? So if that's true in real life with birthday parties, with cookouts, with girls' nights out, all of that kind of stuff, that not everybody says yes. Imagine this, though. If you were going to have a girls' night out, but you didn't invite anybody, and then all of a sudden you're showing up at the friggin' bar, right? Or you're showing up wherever you're going, and nobody's there. And you're going, I don't know why nobody wants to hang out with me. Well, because you didn't ask. Right? You didn't put it out there, and you didn't give them enough advance notice. Everybody understand that? So it's no different when we're inviting to our Beachbody groups. Now, what I do is this: when I have a challenge group going, okay, I keep a list. I call it 10 in play. Okay. What I think about is this: I just want 10 names on a list, and I want people on that list and off the list. That's it. So my only job is to keep a list of 10 prospects that I'm talking to about Beachbody in some way, shape, or form. These are 10 new people, and I don't want the same 10 names on my list. Some of you guys have the same 10 names on your list for the last 7 months, and you're still waiting for them to say yes, right? When the truth is this, people show you where they are by what they do, not what they say. Like some of these people are like, well, maybe, yeah, I might be, but they're afraid to tell you no, and that's perfectly fine. But they're going to show you where they're at by their actions, not their words. What they follow through with, not what they say they're going to do. Okay? So I judge the people on the list by what they follow through with. Like if I get them through the 5 steps, and on 3 separate occasions they did not follow through with the sign up, they're pretty much telling me where they're at. And I can make a judgment on that, and that's perfectly fine with me. That's okay, because my job isn't to get all of them to say yes. My job is to get them on that list and off the list. It's perfect, it's perfectly simple. So a direct invite would be this. I'm gonna make an actual list of individual people Okay, and I'm going to directly invite them. If you're following the Power of Three, it talks about inviting 3 people a day through your, through your social media. Okay. The first thing that's important, though, is you have to have an event that you're inviting them to. There has to be something that you're inviting them to, okay? It can't just be something ambiguous. So for me, that's the start of a challenge group. It's a start date for your group. The second thing is this. You just need to nail down your approach, okay? And this isn't really rocket science. I don't know, like I said, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. I would prefer that it's not like 15 pages long. You got to understand something. People react to chunked information. We have now what we call the 6-second attention span, right? Where we can only focus for 6 seconds at a time. Thanks to social media, thanks to Twitter, thanks to Instagram, we're used to very fast information. So when you send a very long thing to somebody that's longer than just a handful of sentences that they can read fast, okay? The chances are they're not going to read it. A lot of times, my first message is just, hey, Joe, hey, Joe, it's Tommy. How you doing, man? I've been thinking about you. That's it. I don't even bring up Beachbody in the first message. I just want them to get into a conversation with me before I unleash the fact that's one way that I'll handle it, where I'm going to check in with Joe. Maybe I talked to Joe a month ago or 2 months ago, and I know that he might be interested. Instead of just blasting him with the first thing, I always follow the Danny Johnson philosophy of this: relationship first, business follows. Even in my communication with people, relationship first, business follows, right? So I know if I say hi and check in on him and ask him about his day and then take the conversation and steer it into Beachbody, I'm going to be better off. So, if Joe replies, then I say, hey, listen, and this, hey, listen, and this is what I would do if I were you guys, is this, it's called the I'm getting serious approach. I'm going to give you an approach. I'm getting serious. Hey, I'm getting really serious about this Beachbody stuff. Okay? And so I'm going to give it to you 2 ways if you're building a challenge group, right? Hey, I'm getting really serious about this Beachbody stuff. I'm very excited that, and this is where you share the brief story. I'm really excited that I've been able to, lose 10 pounds with 21-day fix. And it's time for me to start helping more people. Okay, that's the I'm getting serious approach. It's time for me to start helping more people. Is something that I would say, and then I would disarm it. I like to disarm in my approaches. Disarming people simply means that we're putting it on the table that it's okay for them to say yes or no. So how I disarm people is really simple, and it's this. It's listen, I don't know if this is for you or not. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I at least wanted to check with you. Okay? Right there, because at the end of the day, I just want to get them in the conversation. That's all. And I just want to have a conversation. I want to be able to ask them some questions and see if this is a good fit for them or not. Okay? So that's in my initial approach what I do with that step 1. Maybe this is for you, maybe not, but I'm looking for people who are interested in specifically what they're interested in losing up to 15 pounds in 21 days, who are interested in, joining a small accountability group and getting their ass kicked by Shaun T for the next 60 days. Whatever that is, whatever your specific thing that you're looking for people is, okay? And then you have to ask the question, is that something that you might be interested in? So you got to end it with a question and get a reply. Is that something you'd like to talk about? Is that something that you'd be open to considering? That's a great question to ask. Is that something that you'd be open to considering? Again, I'm not trying to close the deal on that first invite. I'm just trying to get them in a conversation so that I can then walk them through these 5 steps and start asking them questions and interviewing them and setting them up for a yes or no down the road. Okay? So, what I have my coaches do is I have them write out their initial approach, and then I just have them send it to me. So let's say I'm a coach and I'm sponsoring a lot of coaches. I want to help them create their initial approach, okay? And then I just want to kind of check it, and I want them to send it to me because I want to read it the way that someone else would read it, and then I can help them tweak it from there before they take it to people, all right? But direct inviting. So if you follow the Power of 3, the suggestion is that you do 3 of those every single day, right? Which is 90 in a month, okay? I mean, think about that. If you were doing, and you even have 10% success with those people, that's still 9 people a month. That's a pretty good month. Does everybody understand that? So, you know, my preferred method, though, is I build 1 group a month. So I kind of do what I call whirlwind inviting, where I'll do 10 a day every day for the week, right? The week that I'm going to recruit. So I have a week where I'm going to promote, recruit, and go find my next challenge group. I'm not doing it all month. I'm doing it for a focused period of time during the month. That's how I handle it. Some people choose to do a little bit every day, the whole month. For me, I have a start date. About 3 weeks before the start date, I'll have a week of inviting, promoting, and gathering my list of prospects. That's all I want to do is gather a list of people, and then I'll spend the next week working that list of people, following up with those people, trying to get them in place so that they're ordered a week before the thing. Does that make sense? Okay. So direct inviting. The next way that we invite is in face-to-face conversation or in any conversation. It could be through text messaging, but let's just say that we're in conversation with somebody and the topic of Beachbody comes up, right? The topic of Beachbody comes up. Where a lot of newer coaches can go wrong is that when Beachbody comes up, we don't shut up about it. We say way too much. We do what I call product vomit on people, right? We let our enthusiasm overwhelm us, and then in that, it comes out of our mouth, and we start vomiting all over people. I'm not saying that you can't get excited about it, but I'm saying at some point you want to make it less about you and the product and more about the person. Okay, Janelle Summers, you know, one time said this, and it made a lot of sense, and it fits what we're trying to say here, is this: spend more time being interested than you do being interesting. Okay, spend more time being interested than you do being interesting. So in those conversations, the easiest, what we want to do is kind of master the skill of flipping the conversation so that we're in control of it. And what that means is this: write this down. The person asking questions wins, the person explaining loses. So part of the reason that we get afraid is because we get caught in this explanation trap where we're explaining everything and we're constantly running into brick walls, and then we can feel it going south at some point. And that's because they're in control because you're doing all the talking, okay? The person asking questions wins. So the easiest way to flip that face-to-face conversation is, well, have you ever considered, right? Whatever that conversation is. So have you ever considered doing your workouts at home instead of at the gym? Have you ever considered doing a Beachbody program? Have you ever considered making extra money working from home part-time, helping people in the health industry? Have you ever found a way to make that happen? What if I could show you a way to make that happen? Does that make sense? So the have you considered question is what I call a feeler question. You know, we're just looking, we're looking to flip it, because a lot of people will say, when I ask that, you know, have you ever considered working out from home? Well, not really. You know, I've been kind of doing some running, but, and then I'll say, well, you know, have you ever heard of the Beachbody stuff? Have you ever even checked it out? And, you know, a lot of them will say, well, I've heard of it, but I've never really checked it out. And I say, well, you know, and I'll just go into the 5 steps, and I'll start asking them about their fitness and asking them about nutrition. And then I'll say, you know, well, why don't I just at least show you the information, and at least you could check it out and see if it's something that you might be into. Okay, why don't I just send you to my website or send you a video, you know? So that's where I at the end of the day, I don't want to explain the stuff. I want to ask questions, and I want to get them to something else that explains it, right? It's no different than if, you went to a website that explained Hawaii. I could try to imagine this. I could either try to verbally explain my trip to Hawaii to you, and after about 5 minutes, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, you know, this is overwhelming. Or I could simply let you flip through my picture book on Facebook of our trip to Hawaii and let the pictures explain how the trip was and explain how beautiful the island was and explain the people that we met. Which would you rather have, me verbally explaining everything or the pictures on Facebook explaining to you, right? So part of the thing is this: when we're in conversations, is to do less explaining and understand the path that we're trying to take people down is pretty simple. It's from the conversation to some questions, and then connect them to a resource that explains more. And that's the way that I transfer that is this. So I always ask, have you ever considered? Okay? And then I know that I want to get them to watch a video, or I want to get them to go to my website. Does that make sense? And so what I'll do is then I'll just simply, well, if I, would you? That's a Eric Worre thing. If I, would you? Well, if I sent you a link to my website, would you take 10 minutes to check it out? If I sent you a couple of videos that explain more about the 21-day fix, would you have 10 minutes to watch those? Okay? And that's it. I just want to get the information in front of them. So in those conversations, I guess when we're face to face, or and Beachbody comes up, that's the thing. Have you ever considered? And then try to get them to the videos, get them to the website, get the information in front of them. Okay, that's the best I can help you. The third way is to do what I call openly promote. Okay, openly promote. And this is really, I think, this is when I watch the most successful coaches that are scoring, you know, a lot of points or any of that. This is really what they do, okay? I tend to build relationships one-on-one, face-to-face, and do that thing, but I also do this open promoting thing. And so a book out there called Jab, Jab, Hook. So I'm going to talk a little bit about social media here. I want you to understand I am not a complete guru at social media. I've learned enough to be efficient, okay? And I think I have some points that might be of interest to you guys that maybe some of you have heard before from someone else, or maybe they'll be brand new, okay? But I'm going to break down to you what I think the most successful coaches do through social media, and what they do well, okay? They understand this, that they can either talk one-to-one or one-to-many, okay? And social media is a platform for us to create a situation where we can talk one-to-many in one single swoop, in one single message. Does that make sense? And so what they've done is this. They first of all have identified their target audience. And they know, I mean, here's the thing. If I'm a mom, right, I'm not a mom, but if I were, let's say I were a mom, right, who has a young baby, and I just recently lost my baby weight with the 21-day fix. I'm going to go out there, and I'm going to talk to women. I'm going to go try to find other women that might be dealing with that same issue of having post-birth baby weight that they still need to lose, right? And so I'm going to look to add people to my Facebook, right, who have children, who are other moms, who are stay-at-home moms, whatever. I'm going to look to add people from that target market, and I'm going to grow my friend list based on people from that target audience, okay? And then I'm going to have content on my Facebook that speaks directly to them, whether that's mom tips, whether that's, you know, or when I talk about Beachbody, I'm going to talk about it from the point of view of a new mom trying to lose her baby weight. Does that make sense? I'm going to talk to them. That's my dog, by the way. He's barking. Champ. That's Champ. There's a great book out there, though. So what they've done is this, and I want you to understand this. You're sitting there, you got 300 friends on your Facebook, and you're getting all kinds of pissed off because nobody ever replies, and you don't know why, right? Well, it's like being in New York City, and there's only 300 people in the city, and you're out on the street with a megaphone, and you're mad that nobody is hearing it. You just don't have enough volume of people there to hear the message that you're trying to present. So that's why in the Power of Three it talks about adding friends to your list, adding friends to your list, adding friends to your list. So you need to get busy doing that. But they found their target market. For me, my target market has been pretty simple. It's fat people because for 20 years I was a big fat guy, and I've always struggled with weight loss. I've struggled with food addiction and those sorts of things. And so I tend to add people, you know, who are overweight or who have lost weight or who have that in common with me, right? The other thing for me was local people. I was from a small town in northern Ohio. I was heavily involved in my community. I wanted to add people from my local community, and it didn't matter if they still live there or not, as long as they had something to do with that local community. And that's the great thing about Facebook is even though my hometown was only 9,000 people, and even though I now live in Fort Lauderdale, I still, 80% of the people that I enroll, the common connection with me is that they were birthed and raised in my hometown. Those are the majority of people that I'm adding to Facebook. Now, I'm a hometown guy. Maybe that's you. I think that what happens, though, is you know, we can look at the successful people in our teams. We can look at the successful people, and then we think, and this is why a lot of people freeze, and I've asked a lot of coaches this, we think that we have to recruit a specific type of person and that we don't fit the mold of that type of person, right? And so when really what we have to do is identify who it is that we want to help and why we want to help them and how our story relates to them, and then just go focus on that niche market, right? Go focus on that target market. And I think that they've done that. The other thing that these coaches have done is they're really good at the jab, jab, hook thing. There's a book out there by Gary Vaynerchuk called Jab, Jab, Hook. And, Mindy kind of hinted at this, at the beginning. She talked about the fact that you don't want to just be blasting the product promos and putting up these, it's learning how to share your story through social media and sharing your story in a way that will connect with the people that you want it to connect with, okay? So the jab, jab, hook thing, for me, it's like this, I could sit there and I could try to hook people every day and throw the knockout blow every single day, or I can post bits and pieces and bits and pieces and bits and pieces. Like today, maybe I post something about food addiction. Tomorrow, maybe I post something about the obesity rate, because I'm talking to my target audience, right? Maybe the next day, I share a story of a couple of people on my team that have lost 50 pounds or 30 pounds or 100 pounds or whatever that is, right? But I'm not really asking anyone in those posts to sign up for anything. I'm not asking them to reply. I'm not asking them. But then what I want to do is put out a hook message. Okay? So I've broken down what I think the hook message is, and hopefully you guys can follow it. So in 4 easy steps, this is how I would create an effective hook message. And a hook message is designed then to sort of rattle the people who have been reading, rattle the people who have been following, rattle them. I call it shake the tree. Sometimes you got to shake the tree, right? You got to let the tree grow. You got to let the fruit grow. It's, if you went out there and the fruit wasn't ripe yet and you shook the tree, nothing would fall, right? But if you let it ripen and you give it time and you saturate it and feed it and let it get sun and let it get rain, and when it's ripe, then when you shake it, it falls. Does that make sense? So what I do is how you ripen it is with the jab, 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 right? You make it part of what you talk about on a consistent basis. Okay, and then you go for this hook message. The way that I craft a hook message and how I teach my team to craft a hook message is this. There's really 4 basic parts to an efficient hook message. Okay, number 1 is this: identify your audience. Okay, identify your audience. And really what this is this is learning how to present. This is the same thing that the company uses. If you go watch an infomercial or you go watch the Shakeology videos, many of them follow this order of things, right? They identify the audience. This is who we're looking to help. And I wouldn't be afraid to do that. So what I do, and I don't know that everybody does this, but what I do is I say, if I were going to be looking for moms or looking for women with children, I would put at the top, attention, women with children. Because guess what that person's going to do? If it's a woman with children and they scrolling down through and they see, attention, women with children, please read. You've identified them. What you've done is you've called them out of the busy street and you got their attention because they look at that and go, oh, that's me. I better read this. You see what I'm saying? Okay? So I would identify the audience. That's the first thing I would do. The second thing I would do is this. I would discuss the issues and problems that they face. Right? And because you are them, because you've been them, you know what that feels like. So when I'm talking to people who are obese, I might say, listen, I can understand how it feels to be so overweight that you have to cover your stomach with a pillow when you're sitting with company because you're embarrassed. I can understand what it feels like to get pissed off at your closet because nothing seems to fit and you look fat and everything. I certainly can understand, how it feels to eat yourself until you're in pain and then sit there and cry because of the shame that you feel over your weight issue. Okay? I can understand because I've been you, right? So I just listed 3 problems for people, right? And every time they read that, they go, oh my God, that's me. Oh my God, that's me. Oh my God, that's me. He's right. He's right. He's right. Okay? So you've got to present the problems, present the issues, right? So this is the order. I'm going to present the issues, and then I'm going to present the solution to those issues. The solution being Beachbody, the solution being that program, the solution being coaching. Okay? So if I were going to look for people who wanted to make money because they're broke, right? Then you could say, hey, I understand what it's like to spend 10 hours on social media a day and get paid nothing for it. Okay? And it wasn't until I discovered Beachbody that I learned I could take my social media time and actually turn it into income by helping other people. Does that make sense? So that's the problem, that's the solution. All right, identify the audience, identify the problems, bring in the solution, whatever that is, fitness, coaching, money, whatever that is, okay? And then the fourth thing is this, a call to action. So at the end of that, and a lot of times when I bring in the solution, I want to share my personal story or the story of someone else that had that same problem that found the solution through what we offer in Beachbody, okay? And then I want the call to action. And my call to action would be simple. It's this. It's, hey, if you can identify with this and you're someone that might fit the mold, please send me a message so we can talk about this. I can ask you a few questions, see if it's for you, and we can go from there. Okay? So a lot of times when I invite people to respond, I'll simply add the fact that I'll ask you a few questions, we'll see if it's for you. I want them to know that just by responding, it doesn't mean this is a no-pressure deal. Let's just have a conversation. I just want to get them in the conversation and ask them some questions. That's it. And see if this is something that would help them. And if it is a good fit, then it's something we'll go with and we'll get them enrolled, right? And that's it. So, I mean, I can't make it any easier than that with this hook message. And it, you know, it pains me when I see good coaches with good intentions, right, and good goals of their own that are out there, and they're frustrated because what they're putting out there isn't hitting anybody. And part of the reason is they haven't identified that target audience. They're not speaking directly to some people, right? It's like you can't hit if you were out there, you know, shooting a bow and arrow, are you just pulling it back and shooting it into the woods and hoping it hits something, or do you have a target that you're trying to hit? Does that make sense? Okay? So what I'm talking about is identifying that target market, speaking directly to them, identifying their specific problems, bringing in the specific solution to them, and then calling them to action, and then helping them get started. How many of you think that you can do that, right? Can you follow that order? Because if you can follow that order, but my thing is this, don't do that every day, right? Jab 5 days a week and throw the hook message out once a week. Okay, does that make sense, right? You can't always go for the knockout blow. Okay, set them up, then take the swing. All right? Everybody understand that. So with that said, you know, the last thing I wanted to talk to you about is this, because we could talk all day about inviting. And the reality is this, the fortune is in the follow-up. It's something I learned very early on. Okay, the fortune is in the follow-up. I just posted a picture in my team page that said like 2% of sales are made on the first follow-up. Okay? And like 78% of them are made on the 5th or more follow-up. Follow-ups 5 through 12. Okay? That we have to understand something. The majority of people aren't going to say yes the first time. We might have to follow up with them. You might have to put it in front of them. You might have to have the same conversation with them a month or two from now that you just had with them today. Okay? I've got people that are signing up now that their first introduction was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, but I'm still in the game. One of the worst things that you could do is go do all this work and tell all these people, and then 6 months from now, totally flake out and disappear on this thing, and then all of a sudden the people that you worked on 6 months ago, you know, are saying yes, and you're not around anymore, so they're saying yes to somebody else, and the somebody else is getting paid for the work that you did 6 months ago. Right? That doesn't make any damn sense. This is not a get paid for what you do now. This is a get paid later for what you do now type of business. All right? So the only way that works is if your ass is still around, and I said ass, I did. I'm a football coach. I get a little football coaches sometimes, okay? But you still got to be around. If there's anything that I can tell you is this, we could talk about this stuff all day, right? I could sit here and I could say, hey, write this script and do it this way and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day is this, as long as you're putting your best foot forward, okay? As long as you're out there sharing the word and not living in fear, okay? And as long as you don't care if people say no because you know it's good and that's all that matters, right? And as long as you take that attitude, some people will say yes. and you're going to run with the willing, and you're going to help the people that do say yes. As long as you're doing those things and you're still around 6 months from now, a year from now, one of the biggest rules I can give you is this: be here a year from now. That's it. Still be plugging into this call a year from now. Still be building a challenge group a year from now. Okay, don't disappear on this thing. You know, listen, my first year, my first month I made $50. And it's because I signed my wife up. My first month I made $50. Imagine if I had quit, right? My first 6 months I made like $400, $500, something like that. My first year I ended up making around $5,000 because after 6 months I figured some things out, okay? And I made $5,000. Then my second year I made 15 grand because I thought, you know what? I looked at the charts and I said, well, the average diamond coach makes 12 grand a year. I could at least be an average diamond coach. And 12 grand a year sounds pretty good to me because at the time I was making 60 grand a year. That was like a 20% raise. And I thought, well, hell, I can do that, right? $1,000 a month, I'm in. Let me get to there, okay? My third year it was 53 grand. Then I really started figuring some things out. And my fourth year it was over 200 grand. And then it's been over 300 grand for 3 years in a row, right? And I'm a high school football coach. You know how much high school football coaches make to coach football? About 27 cents an hour, okay? And so yes, I'm giving you a little bit of a pump-up speech here, and I'm not throwing out my numbers to impress you. I'm throwing them out to show you what's possible, that if a friggin' high school football coach from the middle of nowhere, Ohio, who spent 20 years of his life being the fattest guy in the room, can make something out of this thing, and I sure as hell don't know everything, and you guys are probably better on social media than I am, to be honest with you, you know, because you're part of the social media generation. I'm an old guy. I'm 40 years old trying to figure this thing out, you know? So, I mean, you know, don't give up on this thing because we need good people like you. You're part of a great team. Why wouldn't somebody want to be part of this? And the ones that want to be part of it, we're going to help them do that. So with that said, Mindy, I'll give it back to you. Am I muted? Uh-oh. I can see you. I can't hear you, though.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry. I don't know. It muted me, and then it wouldn't let me talk. Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So sorry about that, guys. Thank you, Tommy. If anybody can tell that Tommy is, like, he's passionate and he's on fire, and that's, you know, something I can relate to because I feel the same way. And I love that he says ass and hell and damn because I'm the same way, and I'm not even a football coach. But, you know, one thing that he said that, you know, stuck out to me is about speaking to your target market, and that's what the biggest thing I always tell everyone, don't throw shit on the wall and just hope that it sticks. Make sure that you're really paying attention that when you're on social media that you're seeing how your audience responds. Because I see people who do, you know, mimic what I post, that they see huge, you know, connection with other people in my audience, and then they post the same type of thing and they don't get any response because their audience is different. So make sure that when you're asking questions, that when you're doing things to engage your audience and getting them interested in the coaching opportunity or a program based on your results or one of your challengers results, that you really pay attention to how they're responding and who is responding. Because like he said, you can't just broadcast everything to a broad spectrum and expect everybody to say yes. And I will agree that the follow-up is the essential key to this, because so many people out there don't believe in themselves. It's not that they don't believe in you or the products, they don't believe in themselves. And you want to make sure that you're going in and following up, because had Becky not followed up twice, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have met Tommy. I wouldn't be here with the team with over 2,000 people underneath me. And the thing is, I want everybody to understand that you have to follow up, and that I just recently read You Are a Badass and Go for No. If you don't have those books, read that, because a lot of what Tommy said and a lot of what I teach you is in there. And the biggest thing is that change your numbers around and do the reverse engineering, kind of like on the call with Amy Coppola last year that we did, is that instead of going in and saying, like, I want to help 3 challengers this month, go in and say, I want to get 100 no's this month. We have 31 days in March. That way, when you get your 3 people, you don't just stop and limit your potential. So reverse engineer what you're going for. So that is my thing. I'm going to everybody and asking them the same thing, because I went through my spiel over and over and over and over again, to the point where you get tired of saying it and you condense it and becomes less effective, I think. So I go to people and say basically what Tommy said. I have something to share with you after I build a relationship with them. Would you be interested in listening? It will take 5 to 10 minutes for you to either go to my blog, watch a video, and then they say yes or no. Instead of going through and filling out all of your information and having them just say no, or it being that too much or more than that 6-second window of their attention span. So make sure that you're going through this. And I will tell you that Melissa McAllister taught me this years ago, is stop reinventing the wheel. And if you are a coach on my team, you will hear me say this over and over and over again. And I kind of went through this phase, which is stagnant, over the last couple months. And the beginning of February was tough. So you know what I did? I, chunked my ego, went back old school, and took it back to basics, and I pulled up and I watched Tommy Mygrant's video over and over and over and over again, and I got the 5-step invitation guide. I have it saved on right here at my iMac, and then also on my MacBook. I have it saved on my desktop, and I use the 5-step invitation guide religiously. And now, as of, what is it, today the 3rd, I have 9 Success Club points, and I have like 4 or 5 people who are wanting to take place. So my thing is, stop doing it the way you want to do it. Stop doing it and getting frustrated. Stop throwing shit against the wall and do it the way it is, because Tommy is old school epic shit, and he wrote this and he teaches it. And if 5 years from now he's going to be here and he's going to tell you the same thing that he told you on this call. He may give you a little bit more tips on what he's learned from social media, because like he said, he struggles with that. But the point is, he teaches the same thing. If you talk to my mentors, Christina and Becky and Allie Vaughn and Danielle Katz and Melissa McAllister and Caroline Van Zandt, all these people who, Jason Diebold, they are the people who have been monumental to my success. They're going to tell you the same thing year to year to year to year to year. So make sure that you're doing this. Instead of saying, I'm frustrated, I can't do this, make sure you're following this. All the guides are there. These guides were not there when Tommy became a coach, or even when I became a coach 3 years ago. Like he said, you have the chance of wild success faster than how we progress, because of all the information, because of these calls. So if you're not tapping into this, if you're not doing your personal development, if you're not following the guides, you're right, you're not going to be a good coach. But you have all the tools to do it, and you have all of us backing it. So if you've ever run across Tommy, and I hope you come to events, meet him, take the time, because I'll tell you, he's a legit, genuine guy, and he is part of the reason I'm in this, because every time I've seen him, he always talks to me and makes me feel important, and like I'm a person who's memorable, and that makes a big deal. And because of that, that's taught me how to become a good coach and a good upline to the people underneath me and the people that I meet at events. So he set the stage, along with the people that I just named, to be the best coach, ever. And for me, and I know that's why I've stayed in the top 1% for 3 years, is because of people like him. So make sure you're following him, make sure that you're following the guidelines, and make sure that you tap into these calls and the national wake-up calls and get to as many live events as you can. And I hope you tune in next week for Kim Lima, because she's another person that has my heart. So thank you, Tommy. You were amazing. Tell the wife and baby said hi. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.